Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham D. And that man who's just miraculously, your face just lit up then. Did you click to a white screen or something on your PC?
Yes, I did.
It was just like,
oh shit, I haven't got my light on. That's why.
all right. I thought you were waiting for you to get like introed before you were like, pow.
No, I just opened the Google Sheet on me. I just flipped to the Google Sheet tab on my other PC, but because it's like ice white and I didn't have this light on, it just lighted my face up. But to be fair, can you see? Oh, I can't actually see me on screen here. Yeah, I can't see it, but do I look sunburnt as shit? Because I am sunburnt as shit.
Let's go close into Bib's face and have a look. Oh, Streamlabs is struggling today. No, you don't. You look okay.
No, we're not. God for that. I didn't realise I was sunburnt until I was brushing my teeth to go to bed this morning after we'd finished streaming. And I looked at my hand as I was obviously brushing my teeth. And usually when I'm sunburnt really bad, my freckles go green on my arms. So I was like, what the fuck? And then I looked at the top of my arms and it was just bright red. Like I felt myself burning earlier in the evening, but because I was in like not in natural light, it didn't look that bad. But then when I got into the bathroom and I had the ice white light, Jesus Christ.
Well,
Jerry the Berry.
I've got a bit of colour on me at the moment. My arms, I mean, I say a bit of colour. For most people, they'll be like, oh, Graham's off milky white. Yes, nice. But yeah, when we went for... So me and Danielle went for a 7.5k walk yesterday. It was basically just walking into Manchester and back for a Starbucks. But obviously the sun was glorious, so shorts and short sleeve shirt kind of thing, stroll back. Plus, last week, setting up garden furniture for my mum kind of thing. Yeah, so now I've got like a nice off-white colour. I mean, I'm not going to say I've got any sort of colour. I've got an off-white colour. Yeah. But anyway, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. For those of you that don't know, my name is Graham, and this tanned behemoth is the man that we call Poopy in the screen just next to me. Right there. There you go. There he is. Yeah.
Me.
The guy who, when you speak to him, his face illuminates, has just happened at the start of the show, and his name is Pow. Tonight, Matthew, I'm gonna be Bibby. But anyway, we together are part of the Ice Cream team, and in true Ice Creamy fashion, this is The Scoop, the UK's #1 video games podcast, even if we do say so ourselves. And yeah, we're here to bring you your daily dose of news from the world of video games, the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories each and every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish UK time. If you are live on Twitch, feel free to get involved in the chat. Say hello. We want to talk to people, so jump in, say hello. We've had quite a few new faces over the last few weeks. This COVID situation is quite nice. I mean, we're getting to interact with a few more people. So if you are in the chat, please feel free to interact with us. And it's important that you do, because we turn this into an on-demand video podcast that we upload to YouTube and an audio podcast that goes on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So if you were in the chat, you get to talk on behalf of everyone else that gets to listen on demand later. So feel free to jump in and say a very specific word to Bib. Actually, Bib, you know what it is anyway, but I'm going to drop it in the chat. Pow. How do we pronounce this?
Hello.
There we go. So apart from getting slightly baked and stuff yesterday, what'd you get up to on the weekend? Out and out?
What did I do on the weekend? Not that much actually. Just playing a few games and did the quiz on the Saturday. Really, nothing different to any other weekend at this moment in time. But I only played golf once this weekend as well. I think it was Saturday. I didn't play on Sunday, so yeah, it's been a more of the same really. What about you?
Chuckling at your confused face, because that was me yesterday, all the way until I streamed. And when I say I didn't jump on stream till about 10 o'clock last night. So up until about 10 o'clock last night, I thought it was the day before. I was thinking it was Sunday, but it was Monday, so I had no idea. Got to leave at 11:30, meeting and that. But hello, Mr. T, and Chucky as well. Good morning, Chucky.
Morning, guys.
Been saying all the bad things about you this morning. No, it's not really. I'm joking. So the word's not chatbot. No, the word isn't chatbot. That's not the word. I wouldn't say chatbot.
No, it's actually down as a startup service now. I haven't tested it, but it's there as a startup service. So
let's see.
Fingers crossed. It's probably not going to work.
Am I testing it or are you?
But I found you are.
Ah, no, it's not working.
Okay.
Actually, that was Caps.
But I did set it as a startup service. So yeah, it's clearly still not working again.
Chatbot's clearly it's just it's just not up to scratch. God, chatbot. But anyway, yes. Good morning, Chucky. Good morning, Asif. Good morning, David. Hello, everyone as well. Feel free to drop into the chat. My weekend consisted of bit of chilling, bit of mooching. But yeah, the best part probably was our quiz on the Friday night. So we've been doing quizzes, like the standard sort of like Zoom, sort of Discord, although we're doing them on Skype. Horribly. But yeah, we do a quiz on Friday. And we've done it for like that long, and we're at the point where everyone's kind of bored of doing quizzes. So we had a quiz that wasn't a quiz last week, and my mates did a sort of like Price is Right bit at the end. So anyone that ever watched Price is Right, or people that haven't watched Price is Right, basically at the end of it, you get kind of like the big money sort of showcase, where they go, we're going to send you on a cruise and we're going to give you spending money, and then you're going to get on a plane and we're going to give you a car and we're going to do this, that and the other. And how much is all of that worth? And you can go like $4,000 below, but you can't go a penny over in your estimations. But they, rather than it just being kind of like them reading stuff up, it was like a comedy skit. So they had stuff like a cruise. Kelly had like drawn out some big cruise ship on like, I don't know, it was about 10 foot long on bits of card kind of thing, walking across the screen with it. Damien dressed up as a pilot with his own like custom made pilot's hat and everything. It was class. It was class.
That's mint.
Yeah, it's nice when you got people that put that much effort into it. I mean, me and Danielle were thinking like we came like second or whatever it was, or close to winning, and we're like, if we win, how do we top this next week? God. So luckily we didn't.
I was I played a few games with Alps this, and he bought Jackbox Party. And he was doing a quiz on Saturday. So he did on Zoom. Was it Zoom that you did your green screen overlays? So you did it in the pub?
No, it was actually on Skype, but you can do it with OBS. So like once you've got OBS downloaded, you can get a little plugin which turns your OBS output into like a digital camera, so I could send it straight into Discord, so I could talk to you from the green screen pub and stuff in Discord, because it just thinks it's a camera.
Yeah, so he did that. So he got to play Jackbox Party with all of his mates in Zoom, which is cool. So that may be something that we can organise with everybody else at some point. Because my worry was that when we go to stream it, there will be a delay. And some of the questions are, well, it's time sensitive, so you need to be up and ready for it. So I don't actually know how most people manage to stream Jackbox, but I assumed if I was doing it on stream for everybody else, that there would be a delay somewhere. So I'd have to try and work that out. But yeah, that's something that me and Samantha are going to do when we do our Saturday night quizzes. We're going to get Jackbox sorted out on my PC so that we can play with everybody else. Because like you say, it's what, week 7 now, and people are just bored of doing quizzes. So just trying to like change it up a little bit.
Jackbox Party, I'll keep that in mind, because me and Danielle are like running out of ideas as well, so we'll keep it in mind.
I think on the Xbox, if you've still got Xbox Game Pass, it's on there, but it's not on the PC version.
Okay.
So if you've got Xbox Game Pass on your Xbox, it still should be there. I think it's like Jackbox 4, and I think that's still free.
I'll have a look into it. I don't think I've got Game Pass, but it don't cost that much to get it, so...
Well, I think it's like £1 if you haven't activated it before.
I have done.
Okay.
And then never
Well,
used
just
it.
sign up with Chloe then. There you go. There's another quiz.
But anyway, let's jump into the news. I can see Discord. Not Discord. Chatbot is working now because we've got all the links in the chat. But let's jump in. So obviously you're joining us live on Twitch for the biggest and best news that happens each and every single weekday. And you know, I know you're all sat there thinking, what kind of news can we be looking forward to this summer? Obviously, we know you guys are going to keep us in the loop, and yeah, we will keep you in the loop. But you're thinking to yourselves, what news? Where is it going to be coming from? There is no E3, so what is there? Well, don't worry, we have you covered. I'm going to say we have you covered. What I really mean is Michael Mcwherter from Polygon has you covered, and we've got the news, so you don't have to go looking for it. This article says the big video game events happening this summer in lieu of E3 2020. With no E3, game publishers are filling the void all summer long. So now into the article. With E3 2020 cancelled, the summer is without a major event to anchor the biggest video game announcements. But in E3's absence, publishers, media outlets, and event organisers are filling the vacuum with events of their own. They'll be spread throughout the summer, with many events scheduled for the week that E3 2020 was supposed to take place, stretching out through late August's Gamescom, which will exist in a digital format only. Major companies like Microsoft and Sony are sure to have plenty of events throughout the summer and fall to hype up the launches of the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 respectively. Xbox will get its big coming out event in July, while Sony will reportedly lift the veil on PS5 games in June. As for Nintendo, it appears content to drop the big game announcements on any given Thursday. Nintendo Directs be damned. So here's an ever-evolving look at the gaming events, live streams, and digital showcases that will run throughout summer 2020. So in June, we have, scroll a bit too far then, the PC Gaming Show on June the 6th. This is the annual show from PC Gamer, which has been timed with, but not officially sanctioned by, E3, and it will return in 2020. On Saturday, June the 6th, the PC Gaming Show will broadcast a full day of live stream programming with help from Games Radar, Paradox Interactive, and the Guerrilla Collective. I actually usually quite like the PC Gaming Show. The only thing with it is I tend to, maybe it's just me, but I tend to, the things that I'm interested in don't ever come to fruition. So there was like Maverick's Proving Grounds in the PC Gaming Show either last year or the year before. And that was like 1,000 player battle royale. I was like, oh! And then, 2 years later, nothing. Next up, we have EA Play Live, which is June the 11th. So Electronic Arts is turning its annual E3 adjacent showcase into a digital event. The EA Play Live broadcast will feature game reveals, updates, community content, and more. Viewers can tune in on Thursday, June the 11th at 7 p.m. EDT on EA's website. Interesting that that's on EA's website and not everywhere else, but maybe that'll change. Cyberpunk 2077 Night City Wire, also June the 11th. So the highly anticipated Cyberpunk 2077 will be the focus of a live stream from CD Projekt Red. Details are scant, but expect the developer to do another deep dive on the game ahead of its September the 17th release. And then next up, Day of the Devs, June 22nd, July 20th. So Double Fine Productions, I Am 8-Bit, and the Game Awards creator Jeff Keighley will hold two separate developer showcase events, one on June 22nd and another on July the 20th. Both events will be live streamed and feature gameplay, news, and musical performances. Developers and publishers confirmed to appear include Akupara Games, Annapurna Interactive, the Behemoth, Finji, Kowloon Knights, Longhand Electric, MWM Interactive, Panic, Sabotage Studios, Skybound Games, Team 17, That Game Company, Tribute Games, and Us Two Games. That was a difficult list to get through. Do you know what, actually, looking at this list, maybe we... Oh, no, it's not actually that long. I was going to say maybe we just run through the titles. So the New Game Plus Expo, June 23rd. New Game Plus Expo will bring together 14 developers and publishers, many of which are headquartered in Japan, for an event live-streamed on Twitch from June the 23rd. From 12 till 7 p.m. EDT. Confirmed to appear at companies like Sega, Koei Tecmo, Arc System Works, NIS America, SNK, and Spike Chunsoft. Then Bit Summit Gaiden, June 27th to 28th. Since 2013, Japanese indie developers have had Bit Summit in Kyoto to showcase their wares. This year, with Bit Summit cancelled, the organisers are taking the show online with live streams and demos from 8 developers. Then we get into July when we have the Xbox Game Studios Showcase. Date TBD. After giving third-party publishers time to showcase their upcoming Xbox Series X games, Microsoft will give its in-house studios a dedicated event of their own. Expect new details on Xbox Game Studios titles like 343 Industries' Halo Infinite and Ninja Theory's Senua Saga Hellblade 2, and hopefully many more, considering Microsoft's deep bench of owned game developers. Ubisoft Forward then follows on July the 12th. Ubisoft Forward will be a fully digital showcase with exclusive game news, reveals, and more, according to publisher Ubisoft, with plenty more to reveal on games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and updates on delayed games like Watch Dogs Legion and Rainbow Six Quarantine. Ubisoft is likely to have a packed event, and the show starts at 3 p.m. EDT. Whew, we're almost at the end now. EVO Online, July the 4th to August the 2nd. The annual EVO fighting game tournament will take place online this year over the course of 5 weekends, an event called EVO Online. And while the focus at EVO is the tournament itself, publishers like Bandai Namco and Capcom always show up with something new, so expect reveals after the day's fighting game action wraps up. And then finally, into August, Gamescom's opening night live, which is August the 27th. Germany's massive gaming convention, Gamescom, won't have a physical event this year. Instead, like everything else, it's going online. The big reveals will likely happen at Opening Night Live, the Jeff Keighley produced live event that debuted in 2019 and was full of new game reveals. Lots of events there, Bib.
Yes, there is, and we was worried that we wasn't going to have anything this year.
I know. I mean, the thing is as well, that doesn't even mention the PlayStation event within there.
Mm-mm.
Plus, it skips past the June Xbox event as well, because obviously we're having an Inside Xbox every month, and it doesn't mention the August Xbox Inside Xbox event. So that's not even all of the games.
No, Nintendo Directs, no State of Plays. Do you know what I mean? So there is going to be more stuff that's being chucked into this as well. But as the core things that we as the things that we would likely see at E3, we've got like the title suggests, we've got studios and developers and conferences being chucked in there just to be able to spread them out over a certain amount of time. And we genuinely, a couple of months ago, when all of this kicked off and we knew that things were going to be cancelled, not shitting ourselves at the fact that we're not going to know anything, and we was worried about how they was going to make their conferences worthy of our watch time, which again is kind of a shit thing to say, but at E3 and Gamescom and things like that, you know what you're getting into, you know what you're in for. We didn't know how they would be able to adapt to online only events like this, and with all these in place, it looks like they've kind of picked up the ball and ran with it, which is fantastic, really, because we wondered how long E3 would go on for, considering how tedious it's potentially. Well, it has been tedious over the last couple of years, and it looks like they are taking the ball and running with it outside of those things, which is only a good thing for us, because if they actually can deliver a fantastic show, I say they, I mean all of these that we've just listed out. There is going to be way more than this, but if all of these new ways of broadcasting to people from to their homes, if they can take the ball, run with it, do really well with that, we may get more of them throughout the year rather than just like one or two big ones a year. We might get, I don't know, quarterly ones from these places.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, distracted. Then I think the key thing for me is it's not just the fact that we've replaced the things that we didn't think we're gonna succeed. So the likes of I mean, is there actually an E3? There isn't an E3 event, is it? Not that I can see, because I know that the ESA was saying they're going to replace that. But essentially, we've replaced all of the content that we'd usually get. So we have a Ubisoft Forward. There's usually a Ubisoft E3 conference. We will have an Xbox conference. There's usually an Xbox E3 conference. There will be a PlayStation announce. There wasn't a PlayStation conference last year, but before that there was, so we'll just keep that kind of the same. So a lot of the content has moved on. The PC gaming show and stuff still taking place. EA Plays still taking place. It's the fact that we have much more. So it kind of makes me think: is E3 restrictive for the games industry? Because usually it's kind of a celebration of games. E3, yeah, we get to talk about video games, but now there's no E3. We seem to be having a bit more of a boom for the mini sort of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say smaller. I mean, is smaller a disrespectful word? If it is, I'm not meaning it. But like the smaller devs and the smaller brands and things within the smaller communities within the games industry are having more time to shine. So Day of the Devs in particular, that was the one that was difficult for me to read. So Double Fine Productions, I Am 8-Bit, and the Game Awards creator Jeff Keighley will hold two separate developer showcase events on June 22nd and another on July 20th. Both events will be live streamed and feature gameplay, news, and musical performances. Developers and publishers confirmed include Akapara Games, Annapurna Interactive, The Behemoth, Finji, Kowloon Knights, Longhand Electric. That list that I went through there, including Team 17 and so on as well. I mean, these guys are having their own sort of stage to show things off, which they may have that kind of element already within E3, but it just doesn't seem to stand out as much because E3 is so distracting. Take that out of the way, and everyone's having more time to shine.
Yeah, well, this is something that we also mentioned a couple of months ago when we thought that E3 may be on its knees and they're not going to be running the show. We kind of broke E3 down, or any kind of massive conference, and it's come to light. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work this out, that it is hella expensive and time consuming to be at E3. The amount of time it takes you to be able to prep to do what could potentially be a 10-minute appearance at the show could be hella expensive for someone like an indie company or a developer that is kind of on its way to being big, but just hasn't got the marketing budget or the time to be able to put something together to be at E3. So if these all these little smaller conferences that are happening around it, one, you're stripping back the cost of attending these because it's going to be online. So you're going to be doing it from, I don't know, the Xbox One, for instance. People was doing it from the front room, and it would have just been a team somewhere putting this together as a video package and then live streaming it. So people are finding different ways to, one, cut costs, and two, trying to give as much production value and flair to their um, videos or conference or live studio broadcast, whatever it may be. At this point in time, we don't know. We wasn't sure whether or not it was going to be a live show from Xbox or it was going to be pre-recorded. Clearly, we found out it was pre-recorded. There was no way that was live. So it's just trying to fill the void, really. And a lot of money has been saved this year from these small studios that want to show their game off, again, because they don't have to go to these massive conferences, but they are given airtime elsewhere. And because we haven't got conferences to go to, more people are wanting to look out for the next conference. I don't want to say the next big thing, but the next thing to sink their teeth into and to talk about, which is obviously why we have this podcast, because we have people who come in here every single day. Sorry, every single weekday at 10 o'clock, to give us their feedback and their thoughts on the previous showcase. So yeah, it's, for me, this year has been the year for people to be able to knock down, fine tune the way that they market their own games. And I'm sure by the end of the year we'll find out who, I don't want to say won the year, because there's more than just the console wars that are happening at this moment in time. There's people trying to push their game forward, regardless of whether or not it's AAA or it's an indie game or somewhere in between. There's a lot of people that are going to tweak their marketing messages about how they want their games to be pushed going forward. And the reason I think this is so big is because if people realize how good they can market their games on their own without having to pay to be on stage somewhere, I think that could change the course of how we actually do video game conferences going forward.
Yeah, do you know, I think that's the thing, and it excites me and worries me at the same time. It excites me from the fact that if Kowloon Knights or Longhand Electric or MWM Interactive, I mean, I've heard of Kowloon Knights, I can't put the name towards a brand, and same with a lot of the ones that was in the Day of the Devs list, for example. If they suddenly realise, actually, just have a tiny shared stand in the back of Beyond at E3, which doesn't get anywhere near the sort of footfall that kind of would give me the pound for pound reasons for going. If I can do that, I mean, I'm talking purely marketing. There is other benefits for devs in terms of being on shared stands with other devs. You get business relationships, and you can meet first parties and stuff to do all the business. I mean, there is all that. Yeah. Completely forgetting all that. That's just purely top marketing. So the amount of money it costs to market there, pound for pound, is not necessarily the greatest spend. It might be, but it might not be. And this could be the bit that kind of like makes publishers realise, actually, do you know what? I could spend that money, including the cross-Atlantic flights to go from, let's say, Europe to LA, the hotels and stuff while I'm there, that all cost more because, E3's on and it's LA as well. All of the taxis backwards and forwards, and then not factoring in any of the extra costs that will come as a result of the social distance and stuff that might still be in place in some form or another by this time next year as well. Doing all of that, or we can just have our own sort of broadcast. You got to then kind of think, okay, if this is successful this year, then what's E3 going to look like next year? Is it? I mean, people have been saying it needs to change, and the ESA are aware of that by saying, "Oh, we're going to change. We're going to." They were saying before COVID that they were going to reinvent E3 and give it a completely new direction. Obviously, it's easy to say that and then just produce the same thing again, because they were apparently going to reinvent it last year and it was kind of the same. Yeah, if E3 happens next year, but this summer is successful, you've got to feel that's got to have some sort of impact on the event itself. Yeah.
What I'd love to happen, really, is, I think we covered a story on this a month or so ago, and I don't know who it was that said they was going to potentially do this, but they was potentially bringing back demos of games. Now, how cool would it be if there was Steam have done it recently, where they had they just threw out a load of demos. They had a conference and they said demo is available for you to be able to play it now. and then you'll be able to go into the Steam Marketplace and you'll be able to download the demo and you're able to play it.
Is it Steam Summer Game Fest or something like that?
I think it was that, yeah, yeah. I mean, that for me was cool because you had all weekend. I think it was on a Friday. You had all weekend to download it and be able to play it. If gaming companies, alongside making their game, if they just had a small team next to them, I know resources is a massive thing, but if they could just trim a tiny bit of the game and not include the rest of the fucking source code for the game, so someone can go into the back end and rip the rest of it out. Like, it just seems to be the norm for people just to go, actually, we'll just put partitions on both sides of the game. So the beginning and the end, we'll just give them a slight bit in the middle. They'll never know. And then they realize when you download it, the whole fucking partitions on both sides, and they just unlock it, and then you've got the full game to be able to play off the back of a demo.
It's like having a TV pilot. And someone going, this is just a pilot, and then whilst you're watching the pilot, someone's there whispering the spoilers for the end episode.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't include the spoilers in it. Get them out there.
If they could just make a purpose-made demo for all the games, or some of the massive games, because obviously for it's small indie studios or smaller titles, it may just be a bit too much for them to be able to handle. But at least for the games that people are super excited about, if they could just make a small demo of those games going forward, and then after the conferences or after each part of a conference, like if there's a Last of Us 1, this is just an example, if they was doing a Last of Us 1 tomorrow and they say, and the demo for the Last of Us 2 is now available, and then you get there and it's literally just 15 minutes of you getting to learn the mechanics of the game, a small bit of the story which is insignificant towards the main bit, or just a purpose-built one for the game, just so you can get used to it, or something along that. I mean, Last of Us was a shitty example because it's a storyline game. You're going to get spoiled it somewhere down the line, whether or not it's on Twitter or whatever. But a purpose-made demo of the games that are coming out, they do the conference, say blah blah blah, it's available for you now, and then you're good to go. For me, that would be fantastic. Not just because the hype would be there from the people giving the conference, but you're getting hands-on with it. You can then go onto Twitter and social media and say, I've played it, it's fantastic, I can't wait for it. I think there would be a small spike year on year of people actually pre-ordering the games, because at the moment the pre-order incentives for most games are dog shit. There's no point you pre-ordering a game at the moment. It's what you get an extra skin and, I don't know, a small amount of microtransactional transactional fucking monies to spend in the game. That shit, I don't want any of that stuff. There's no purpose in pre-ordering a game. So if they could just give you something to sink your teeth into and guarantee that money from your audience, I think that would be a good way of doing it. But hey, what do I know? I don't work at all, do I?
You goddamn right you don't. Jordan, hello. What's happened? Who's spoiling demos? No one's making any spoiling demos specifically. We're talking about generally, so we're not talking on anything. We're just talking about all the events that are happening in the place where E3 sort of won. Basically, all the events over summer. Just come off Minecraft Dungeons. I pre-ordered Ghost of Tsushima and never got my pre-order theme. See, the thing with pre-orders is, like, I keep thinking, like, how can you do pre-orders successfully? Because obviously, let's teach you to suck eggs. Pre-order is get a game early so that, one, you guarantee to have that game on day one, and you could maybe preload it as well so that you can play it on day one. None of those like 70 bajillion updates and stuff, although there's usually a day one that comes on top of it as well, but yeah, just saying. So yeah, you get the game, you've got the safety of knowing that my game's there, it's in the bag, it's done. The developers and the publishers have got the safety of knowing that, okay, we've made a sale there, so we have a sale, job's good and done. Everyone benefits, so you get a little bit of something extra, usually in the form of a skin or something like that. But the thing that kind of puts me off with pre-order incentives is they naturally, by definition, give you some sort of segregation in the community. So if it usually, like, a pre-order incentive will be get it a week early or get a skin that no one else can have and things like that. If it's just a cosmetic, it's not too bad. But even still, I'd rather be in a world where let's use PUBG for example, because I've got a hat on, I will be playing it after the stream. I have a Nathan Drake skin in PUBG, which is from Uncharted naturally, on PlayStation, and I have a Last of Us backpack skin from The Last of Us, obviously, because I've just said it, in PUBG, and you only got those by pre-ordering the games. Really good skins that you couldn't buy on the store at launch. You had to pre-order the game. And it's just like, I'm thinking, okay, I get that is a pre-order incentive to pre-order it on PlayStation by putting PlayStation brands into the game. But the fact that people could be fans of both, but then just think, actually, do you know what? I'm going to buy PUBG now, but can't buy it afterwards. I'm never really a fan of that. But then I'm thinking, well, how can you get someone to pre-order your game, which gives you the guaranteed influx of capital and gives them the guarantee of having the game and stuff like that? How can you keep that relationship going without giving something exclusive? And I think the only way that could really happen is to say, okay, well, if you pre-order it, you'll save money. Da-da. But nobody ever wants to do that because it's like, you want to pre-order a game in the PS Store? Yeah, that's £2,000, please. Or you could just buy it up on day one from Sainsbury's for £4. It's just like, fuck. So yeah, for me, it's not going to work, and I know it even while saying it. But for my sort of pre-order incentives, it would be just, okay, forget getting cosmetics. Your pre-order loyalty bonus would be saving money that you can then, if you want, afterwards spend on the game. I'd like to be in a world where you save money by pre-ordering rather than getting more stuff by pre-ordering. You save the money because then you can put that money back in and let the video games do the talking. But yeah, like I say, it's not going to happen because people are scared the video games won't do the talking, and why would you actively encourage people to spend less money? So yeah, that's what I would like. And it stops you from not getting your theme when you pre-order Ghost of Tsushima, like Jordan's just said as well. I had that for ages. I think it was PES 2017 or something. Can't remember which one it was, but there was a PES PS4 theme that came with the game, and move my pop shield. There we go. And yeah, it just wasn't there, and it took forever. But I think it was like some sort of PlayStation sort of bug working with the game, so you had to wait basically until the first patch before you got access to this theme. And by that point, it's 2 months into the game, you're like, I'm not bothered about a theme anymore. So nah, lucky made. But anyway, for those of you that missed it, I'll quickly run over the list. PC Gaming Show will be taking place on June the 6th. EA Play Live, June the 11th. Cyberpunk 2077 Night City Wire, also June the 11th. Day of the Devs, 2 events, June the 22nd, July the 20th. The New Game Plus Expo, June the 23rd. Bit Summit Gaydon, June 27th to 28th. And then we're into July, which has the Xbox Game Studio Showcase. No date for that yet. Ubisoft Forward, July the 12th. EVO Online, July the 4th to August the 2nd. And then finally, at the end of August, Gamescom Opening Night Live. Those are all of the events happening over the summer, not including 2 more Xbox events in that period. PlayStation State of Play / full announcement, because obviously there's supposed to be some additional PlayStation State of Play content, which we will jump onto in just a second. But there's the full console reveal and all of that supposed to stuff going. So yeah, lots more content that isn't included in that list. And there you go, spoilers, Jordan. Honestly, I'm building myself a nice link, and then you just throw it straight out there. God. But yes, talking about State of Plays, talking about additional content that is coming. Our next little bit of news follows on that line. Let me hide that. Get out of here. And bring this one on the screen. There we go. Written by Tom Ivan for VGC. The Last of Us Part 2 live stream will include extended gameplay reveal. I wonder if this is like gameplay or Xbox gameplay that's not gameplay. What do you think? Sorry, Jordan's in the chat. Resident Xbox fanboy. So Last of Us Part 2 live stream to include extended gameplay reveal. State of Play broadcast on May the 27th. That's tomorrow. Will offer a deep dive into Naughty Dog's game. So Sony is giving PS4 exclusive The Last of Us Part 2 a dedicated State of Play live stream on May the 27th. Viewable on Twitch and YouTube. The broadcast will start at 1 PM PT or 4 PM ET or 9 PM BST, which is obviously at 10 o'clock CEST, this Wednesday, May the 27th. So if that is a lot of ETs, PTs, BTs or whatever to everyone, 9 o'clock UK time tomorrow night, the broadcast will take place. So over the course of this nearly 25-minute episode, Neil Druckmann, director of The Last of Us Part 2, will provide an extensive look at the gameplay, threats, and world of the game, said Sid Schumann, senior director of content communications at Sony Interactive Entertainment. To cap it all off, he'll introduce a never-before-seen extended gameplay sequence to close out the show. Following two delays, The Last of Us Part 2 release date is now set for June the 19th. Sony recently announced a limited edition Last of Us Part 2 PS4 Pro console and accessories, and it also released the Last of Us Part 2 story trailer earlier this month and is midway through a 4-part Last of Us Part 2 video series, with the first 2 episodes having focused on story and gameplay. So Last of Us Part 2 news tomorrow, babe.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to be watching it?
I honestly, I was full on bank holiday weekend that I've kind of not even considered it, but it might even be like watch along territory for that. 9 p.m. tomorrow night.
I'm going to decline that.
God, I didn't invite you anyway, mate. Going on about why? Why?
Well, one, I wasn't invited, and two, going into games like this, I don't want to see anything, nothing at all. I want to see it all for myself with my own 2 eyes whenever I can. I've managed to avoid spoilers so far. Obviously, this isn't going to contain any, but I don't want to see the world. I don't want to see anything.
Interesting.
So I'd rather just go in fresh, rather than sit there for 25 minutes and potentially see the world, which he is going to show. They're going to sit. What was it that they're going to Scott Battlefield introduce a never before seen extended gameplay sequence to close out the show? No, I don't want to see any of that.
See, I don't mind the idea of that, because there's 40 hours of gameplay within that. So that, I mean, even one segment of it, if he did, like, just thinking back to The Last of Us, I mean, it could be more than 40 hours, I'm just assuming based on the last one. One segment would be like 25 minutes. Plus then there's going to be bits of Neil Druckmann and talking. 25 minutes wouldn't even cover one segment. So Neil Druckmann talking, doing the intros and the outros and some other reveals, and they're probably going to feature the PS4 Pro console in it again, because marketing has to be done, and plug the other trailers and things as well. So the extended gameplay I can see being 8-9 minutes, where they're talking to you about like the functions and the new, you can now do a ledge grab, or you can do something else or whatever. So yeah, I can't see there being too many spoilers or anything in that. So for me, I don't see an issue with that. So maybe it's something I'll gauge on socials and see whether anyone would be interested in doing a watch along. The last watch along that we did for the Xbox Inside Xbox conference was massive. We had hundreds of you guys in the chat watching along with us. So maybe I'll see. I will check the diary, see if people are interested, and if that is the case, then 9 o'clock tomorrow night may do a watch along. So if any of you guys are interested, please let us know at Ice Cream Uploads on Twitter, and we'll think about it. What about you guys? Are you guys gonna be watching that? I mean, Jordan says, "Hit what? You'll watch me or watch that?" So already had the game spoiled, so it doesn't matter much. Yeah, me too. But I wouldn't expect that within this. I mean, if you're watching the Twitch chat, then maybe you'd probably get it spoiled, because there'll be absolute weapons within that. But if we had it on, we would be restreaming it on Twitch anyway, so that wouldn't be too much of an issue for us, because we would lose their chat and just have our chat. The issue is whether we then get Muppets in our chat trying to spoil it for others, which you can get. You do get a lot of empty heads that do that kind of thing anyway. So
empty heads.
Yeah, it's just it's complete mindless thinking. Well, I'm not a fan of this, or Xbox fans that don't like PlayStation or whatever. Me and Jordan were having a chat about it when we were in PUBG the other day, and then we had the same conversation on stream as well. Like, PlayStation fans just want to piss off Xbox fans, and they don't realise that they're not pissing off fanboys. It's not like soldiers of one army versus soldiers of another. It's more like soldiers of one army killing the innocents of the other. The innocents in this case being people that are just on Twitter. Like me, I'm not a fanboy of either. I've got both, but I'm an innocent. Yeah, I've been taken out already because I've seen the spoilers kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know. We will weigh it up and then see if it's something that we potentially might cover tomorrow night. If you're interested, like I said, let us know. Jordan said they'd be interested in watching, but I might put a post out shortly and gauge interest. If people are interested, then maybe we'll do a watch along. If not, we'll just watch it at the same time as you guys and report the day after. So yes, if you missed that, I'll bring it back on screen for you to have a look as we roll forward. Sony is giving a Last of Us Part 2 live stream, which includes an extended gameplay reveal. That will be taking place 9 p.m. UK time tomorrow night, or 10 p.m. Central European time And then obviously those are your times there for the American time zones. Give me 1 second. Excuse me. 25-minute long, featuring Neil Druckmann, creative lead or director, The Last of Us. So yes, there we go. Make sure you check that out. But we will move forward with our bit of news, and something a little bit closer to home. I'm going to say that, I mean literally close to home. This is about 5 minutes away from me, as Manchester United, which absolutely not planned. I'm wearing a United shirt. Obviously, it's the anniversary one. Didn't even realise, but there you go. Manchester United is suing Football Manager over the use of its name. Written by Sherif Saed for VG247. This article says Manchester United is not happy with how Football Manager has been using its name for years. Sega and Sports Interactive, the publisher and developer behind the very popular management simulation game Football Manager, are being sued by Manchester United. The Premier League team, according to The Guardian, says the game infringed on its trademark by using its name extensively throughout the game. Manchester United also argues that the game infringes on its logo trademark by using a simplified version of the logo and not its official crest. Sega's counter-argument was that Football Manager and its predecessor Championship Manager have been using the Manchester United name since 1992 without complaint by the claimant, and that using the name is a legitimate reference to the Manchester United football team in a football context. Sega also argued that the club intends to prevent legitimate competition in the video games field by preventing parties not licensed by the claimant from using the name of the Manchester United football team within such games, and that doing so would amount to an unreasonable restraint on the right to freedom of expression to restrain the use of the words Manchester United to refer to a team in a computer game. United's lawyer asked Mr. Justice Morgan to amend its claim to include mods and fan patches, which it says were encouraged by Sega and Sports Interactive by promoting the patch providers in various ways, and of course they directly benefited from it by avoiding the need to take any license and enjoying increased sales of their game. Justice Morgan reserved his judgment on United's application to amend its claim to a later date. Ooh. Thoughts, Mr. Bibarino?
Well, it's kind of twofold, really. The first one, and I'll get this out of the way now, this is fucking hilarious as a Manchester City fan. This, on Friday when this broke, it made my Friday. I'm not going to lie. It was incredible. It came out on the same day that Man United reported losses due to COVID-19 of around 4.5 million, I think it was. And then it just seemed to be in the next breath of air that they was going to be suing Football Manager for damages. It's hilarious, but reality, for my allegiances to the side, this sets a stupidly dangerous precedent for not just Football Manager, but for any modding of any video game ever. Especially if you're going to be taking real life entities and putting them in to replace fake ones. We're currently doing a series on Twitch with Pro Evolution Soccer, which editing and modding has been a massive part of that culture since its inception into video games. So this sets a massive precedent now, and I hope somewhere down the line United see sense and think that this isn't something worth going for, because if it does, a potential shitstorm will be coming for every single game that does modding to replicate real life entities. This isn't going to go well.
See if I can find an article that I looked at on it the other day, because that did have a bit more information on it. Where is it?
So, as a Man United fan, what are your thoughts on this?
As a United fan, if I'm going with full-on blinkers on, then naturally a brand is going to want to be protective of its name. If I'm just taking it at face value, as you did as a City fan, I'd be like, well, it's its brand name. It's the most successful brand, or one of the most successful brands in global football, and has been for a long time. So naturally, it'd want to protect its brand. But then, obviously, that's as far as I would go with my blinkers on. Let me just see options. There we go. Yeah, beyond that, I'm not so sure, because, I mean, is Manchester United... This is where we start to get into like the legalities. Is Manchester United a phrase that can't be used? I mean, if they're using the teams and if they're using the players and they've got FIFA licenses and all the rest like that, is Manchester United a copyrighted phrase or not? Can they not use it? And especially... after, I mean, 1992, we're talking almost 20 years. Not almost 30 years, is it? Yeah, quick maths, there we go. Almost 30 years, 28 years they've been using that name within the game, and only now is it at the point where it's an issue. Why now is it an issue? Which then jumps into, where is it? It's somewhere. There we go. So now this has a bit more of the counter arguments from Sega Interactive. So if I bring this one on screen. Roger Y and QC, representing the defendants, opposed the club's application to amend the claim. In their written defence to United's claim, Sega and Sports Interactive said the claimant has acquiesced in the use by the defendants of the name of the Manchester United football team in Football Manager game and cannot now complain of such use. Basically, they've been using it before, so why are they complaining now? Wyand argued also that the simplified club badge used in the game was one of 14 generic logo templates that is randomly chosen by the Football Manager game engine each time a new game is started, and clearly indicates that the use of the logo of Manchester United is not licensed by the claimant. Basically saying they've not particularly chosen a logo. It's created by an algorithm, and they're specifically not trying to infringe copyrights by using their logo. Then where is it? The bit there we go. Sega and Sports Interactive said preventing them using Manchester United's name would amount to an unreasonable restraint on the right to freedom of expression to restrain the use of the words Manchester United to refer to a team in a computer game. That's the thing. Is the phrase Manchester United copyrighted to that sort of level? Because I get what they're saying with the freedom of expression stuff. There is kind of like a legal issue in there, though. If Manchester United is a copyrighted phrase, I can get it. But should it be covered by freedom of expression? If that's the case, can I call my new training brand Nike and my new video game Mario Kart without Nintendo coming after me? So yeah, there's quite a bit of a rabbit hole then. But then this is where it starts to get interesting. Wyant also pointed out that copies of the game have been sent by Sports Interactive to a number of officials and players at the club for a number of years, and there have been a number of positive press comments and tweets about the game by them. He added, further, the claimant's staff working in the data analytics and scouting teams have also contacted Sports Interactive on various occasions asking for access to the Football Manager database for scouting and research purposes. The QC concluded, there is no likelihood of confusion or damage to the claimant's EU trademarks caused by the defendant's activities. So that is the bit that gets me. Manchester United, we fucking love your game. We would like a copy so I can play it. Yeah, we would like some for the players so they can play it. We'll all tweet about how it's really good, and we'll share it when it goes viral and stuff as well. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Actually, do you know what? We're looking at a few wonder kids in like the Norwegian 3rd Division or whatever. Do you mind just giving us your database from like your scouts that have pulled the stuff together? Because we could send people there, but we value your game so highly in the data it has within it that we want to use your game. Actually, you want to use some of ours? Okay, can't do that. I'm going to sue you. So that's where it kind of comes back to me. The VG247 article just kind of gives you the top line of the claims there. But yeah, for me, that just doesn't sound pretty good. I mean, if you take the last stuff that I covered over there, then if Manchester United is a trademark and they have the legals over that, then there's a reason why we've always made jokes of Trad Brick Stadium and Man Red and stuff like that.
West London Whites.
Yeah, exactly. I get that. I completely get that. So if Manchester United is the brand and they've built that brand and you're calling it Manchester United, you are ripping off that brand. It's as simple as that. Yes, you have been doing it for 28 years. You're just getting your comeuppance now. Stop doing it. Fine. However, by going further and interacting with them, using it, promoting it, being positive about it in press, and using their game for your own scouting purposes, and then at that point going, no, mate, you can't. That's the bit that's shit for me.
I agree. It's I think they would be wise to pull out of this court case as soon as possible, because the bridges are being burnt at this point in time. If Man United have been using their engine for scouting purposes, for real life stuff, which in turn will make United a stupid amount of money in players who they potentially would buy for nothing and then in 2 years' time sell for a massive amount of profit thanks to Football Manager, this isn't a good look for them at all. And even the likes of Lee, the owner of Jelly Media, co-owner of Jelly Media, he I seen a tweet from him on Friday saying that if they carry on with this, he will no longer ever buy any merchandise from Man United, and that's coming from someone who wears red tinted glasses, the red outfits, the full everything about it is super biased United because he's a United fan, as you would expect, and that's someone who's super hardcore. So I think it sets a massive, massive, dangerous precedent going forward. And I think they'd be wise to walk away while they've still got a little bit of dignity left, because as it stands, they are the laughing stock of the footballing world at this moment in time for doing something like this. It's not a good look for them at all.
Ah,
And like you say, it's dangerous hypocrisy at this moment in time because of how much they have used, promoted, and you know, given light to how much they use football managers. Then in the same breath, say actually using something that we actually own. So
it's
I think
funny.
you better start paying up.
It's funny because everything you're saying is right, but you're also saying it as a City fan as well. So everything's
Absolutely.
said a little bit further than it needs to be. They are the laughing stock of the football world right now. Not quite, but I get where you're going with it. The thing is though, none of the blue tinted glasses that says Eric's in the chat. I mean, there's reason to be it though. The issue there for me is that Bibby's saying Manchester United Football Club are the laughing stock. The issue there is more in the Lee side of things. Saying Lee as a hardcore fan is turning his back on it, and so on. It's not that he's turning back on the club. It's absolutely the ownership. If there's someone's going to make money off it, it's well, the Glazers, isn't it? There's a reason why there's green and gold flags being worn to games and so on. It's because they want to take the money. They want to get every single penny out of it. And if they've got finances that are dropping by 4 million, I mean, 4 million is admittedly a drop in the ocean when it comes to football at that sort of level, but it's still 4 million lost. They'd rather be 4 million gaming, and if it benefiting, should I say, and if they can get 4 million out of a court case that'll just tip that up, then yeah, fine, that's fine, that for me. So
it's interesting how they managed to not have that license in Football Manager for the Premier League. Like Watford, off the top of my head, are the only team in the Premier League that have the license, and that's because they are sponsored by Football Manager. The Championship, League One, League Two, the Eredivisie, La Liga, all the other clubs, all the other leagues in the world, barring the Bundesliga, which you have to download a completely different fix for that because they're not even in the game. Premier League is the one that don't have it. Is that because FIFA have it and they're not willing to? I don't want to say go halves, but they're not willing to stump up the amount of cash that it would cost to have a license like that. Because Man United are in pets, but that's only because of the deal that they got with Pro Evolution. Because there are we've got 2 Premier League clubs that are sponsored in Pro Evo, and FIFA, the whole entire Premier League is sponsored. But whereas in Football Manager, we have one team, and that's because they are actually partnered with Football Manager. Is it because of the monopoly that FIFA have, that they have the Premier League and no other video game in the world is allowed to have it? Very much like what Pro Evo have with Juve at the moment, and they're called Piemonte
FIFA.
In FIFA.
Possibly. It could very well be that. It could be just the fact that because FIFA is spending such a large amount of money, the FA are like, well, yeah, of course you can use it, but it's going to cost you £6 billion. And you're like,
yeah,
well, you can jog on then, because the game has never made that much in profit ever. So never mind for 1 year, no, you're all right. So I mean, it could be. It's probably somewhere, maybe even a bit of both. Maybe it costs so much, or it could be a case of it costs a lot, and FIFA have said, okay, well, we're paying you. Let's use stupidly small figures, but to make it up, let's say we're paying you £10 million. It's probably going to be more than that, and I don't know what's pinging. Oh, it's WhatsApp, because I opened up this link. Let me kill my WhatsApp. So let's say FIFA is saying we're paying you £10 million for the use of your license, your Premiership license. We will give you 11 million. So an extra million on top of that if you just make us be the only brand that has the Premier League in the UK. It could be that. It might not be. It might just be a case of Football Manager just doesn't see it as good value for money. They might say, okay, well, we're pretty much the only serious management game to that level. So we want to feature, we want to work with you, we want to include your brand, we include the Bundesliga, we include the Eredivisie, we include Liga 1, and we want to include the Premiership. And the Premiership goes, yeah, that's fine. £1 bajillion. And they go, oh, well, okay, no, you're all right, because that's more than everyone else combined. And there is a lot of that with the Premiership. The Premiership, because it's such a big league, because it's so marketable and watched, they will just go, okay, well, we don't need your money. We don't need to be included in a football game. If you want to include us, then you have to pay for it. And it is Corey O'Neill. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. It is very much a case of that EA can just go, yeah, we don't. Well, we're not interested. We don't want. Not the EA, should I say, the FA should go, can go, well, we're not interested, we've got enough money, we've got the Sky money, we've got FIFA's money. If you're not paying a ridiculously large amount of money as well, then we'll just go without, it's fine. And they can just sit on it, and they could just be like that spoiled little kid cut off the noses to spite their own face, because they've got noses, all the noses from everywhere else. So yeah, they're not asked.
I'd love them to turn around Sports Interactive in the future and say, actually, yeah, this bridge is now burnt, unlucky, see you in the future, kind of thing. That would be great. From a City fan perspective, but from a business standpoint, they know full well. They're not just giving access to Man United for this database. They will have to pay for the use of this. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was a retainer by every single club in the Premier League and down the leagues. Sky Sports, whenever they bring up a new player that a massive club's interested in, they go to Football Manager, they bring his stats up on the screen and say a Sports Interactive database indicates that Bruno Fernandes is 17 at finishing, his Flair's 16 or whatever it will be. They show that infographic on the screen. It's because it's the most popular and accurate database in the world of football, and that's not just because it's a video game, but they have thousands and thousands of real life scouts who know football inside out that go to games specifically to watch one or two players, but they'll give roundabout accurate stats for the rest of the players. But there'll be one or two wonder kids in each team that they'll be looking at. They'll watch them 5 or 6 times. They'll write down his stats. They'll give the average. They'll put it in the database. And that's the reason why it's the most powerful base. So it wouldn't surprise me if Sports Interactive was actually making more money off the database than there was from selling copies of the game.
I reckon that could be the case. Hugely so. I know that we've looked to do some things with them officially in the past. I won't go into any details on that, and there are quite significant costs on those databases using those, so it wouldn't surprise me if that it's like, let's use influencers. I'll use a specific influencer. I remember having a chat with Bateson, and he was a bus mechanic that did FIFA videos and stuff on the side, and then it got to the point that his actual wage, his bread and butter, his job, his being a bus mechanic, got in the way of him progressing and making money as a YouTuber. So he quit that to carry on doing it. It's almost kind of like that. It's not that they can quit creating Football Manager, but it's almost like that. They've started making a management sim game. They've started building an incredible database that they're selling out for money. Now you kind of got to feel it's maybe at the point where they're selling out the database is earning more than selling the game that it's actually made for. But yeah. Jumping back up the chat though, John says it's why Americans use stuff like Miami Dolphins or Los Angeles Chargers. It's far too different where it's completely specific if someone breaks it. United, I'm not too sure as it's a generic name. The thing is though, Dolphins. You've got. I mean, dolphins exist. That's an actual animal. So Miami Dolphins. There's probably dolphins in Miami, is there? I mean, I don't know. So, like, is that... So, like, I would argue that Miami Dolphins could, in essence, be more generic than Manchester United. But then again, I mean, the phrase United, I suppose, isn't necessarily something tangible. How do you measure United? So, yeah. I do get what you're saying. Who says this is the UK's number one? We do. That's the point.
It's self-proclaimed. Do you know what I mean? Who's anyone else to say that this isn't? Just saying.
Yeah. That's the joke. We are. We've even got it scripted out. This is the scoop. The self-proclaimed UK's number one video game podcast. Although I do change that when I'm reading it live, and I said the UK's number one video game podcast. Even if we do say so ourselves. So yeah. I mean, we can have opinions too. It's part of marketing, you see. But clearly, with the use of the lull in the chat following that, Jeevans, you clearly feel it too. So welcome aboard. Welcome to be part of the UK's number one video games podcast. So there you go. Anyway, long story short, Manchester United Football Club is suing Football Manager because reasons. It's bullshit to me. I don't see why they're going after a brand that they've been working alongside for 28 years, other than some higher ups want to get a little bit more paper.
Mm.
I
Can you imagine it having this conversation like, "Oh, we're in Football Manager. Are we getting paid for that?" No, no, just using our name, not using any logos. Okay, so they're using our name and not our logos. Okay, yeah, that's not okay. You need to go and have a word with them. We're going to sue them for everything they got. There, it would just be something a part of the conversations ever, and then he'll just be getting his knickers in a twist or something like that. I don't know, but it's a very weird thing to be able to go after.
Yeah, it is daft. The terminology used as well. They're using the name, but not with our logo, so they're not using it right. They're devaluing the brand. No, they're not using the brand. They're just using words. Yeah, but they've used a logo that's not our logo next to our name, so therefore you've made it lesser than it is. No, it's just words and a nondescript logo. No, so it's absolute shithousery. That's what it is. But I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, if you can put that much effort into chasing a brand that's making video games that supports your brand, why don't you put that much effort into buying midfielders that aren't Fred? Yeah.
I'll have you know, I'll have it on good authority that a lot of people like Fred.
Yeah, they do. To be fair,
He's a workhorse. He's shit, but he's a workhorse.
Fred's been there we go. There we go. Fred's been decent. That's what I hate. That sort of like shithouse fandom. Like Fred is not good enough. He's played better, and he's played very, very well at times, but he's not good enough. Fred's not the kind of player that we need starting for Manchester United. Fred is like a young Darren Fletcher. He's good enough to come on from the bench, or a young Johnny Evans, which is what weird saying Johnny Evans when I've got J Evans in the chat talking to me. It's like that. Fred, don't get me wrong. I don't want to get rid of him. I want to give him the time. He was a class player at Shakhtar. He's been nowhere near that at all. Even on his best games for United, he's not been the player that we purchased. But I would keep him on the bench. Get me a better central midfielder. Get me a better defense. Well, we need a defensive midfielder, and then we can use the central midfielders we've got. But yeah, what are you gonna say?
I was going to say it's a massive shoes to fill with the likes of Michael Carrick. I mean, Michael Carrick turned out to be one of United's, for me, best ever players, and he was never bought to be that. He was a good player before United bought him, but he was never going to be the Michael Carrick that he ended up being. He was a fantastic player, and that's massive shoes to fill. Like, there's no one. I don't think there's anyone in the Premier League that was as influential in that midfield for United. I mean, we obviously have Yaya Toure and we had David Silva and players like that, but in that United squad, he didn't get the recognition that I think he should have got. And it's only when he retired, it's only when he retired that you actually think, fucking hell, actually. Do you know what?
Scholes?
He was brilliant.
Scholes was better than Michael Carrick. God. Right. See, the thing with Carrick is Carrick played that quarterback role, which is class. But that was kind of like, Scholes did that better. I think the reason Michael Carrick got overlooked was because he wasn't Roy Keane and he wasn't Paul Scholes. And when you've got those two as standalone separate entities, then you don't kind of need Carrick there as another midfielder then. So I think that's the reason why he got stick. But I like Carrick. When Carrick, the thing with Carrick is when he gets his head up, he's amazing. But quite often Carrick would play the easy pass into someone alongside him. If he got his head up, ping! Like you saw those like diagonal balls, and that's when Carrick was the quarterback. But if he didn't get his head up, that's where it was. But
you see, for me, he just get that. I think he just kept that ball ticking around the midfield. There's always one person in midfield that you need to keep the ball moving, whether or not it's the easy pass, whether or not it's the 40-yard Hollywood ball. For me, you always need someone with a bit of stability, and that for us, Gareth Barry was that for us. Like he was an unsung hero of that Manchester City team when we won the FA Cup in the league. He was phenomenal. Fair enough, he was kind of clocking on by the time he'd come to us, but there is no one in that midfield who I would have rather wanted alongside the likes of David Silva and Yaya Toure just to keep that ball moving, because you've got Yaya Toure who would just get the ball and run wherever he fucking felt like it, and you'd have David Silva who will unlock the defence, but you always need that someone there behind them who will just receive the pass, give it to the wingers or go, but not be afraid to go back. And for me, that's what I mean. This is turning into a Michael Carrick wankathon, but
I think a lot of that though is pretty generic, which I think that's probably because you're not paying close attention to him week in week out kind of thing. So it's I can see where that's coming from, but yeah, sometimes Michael Carrick would play that Hollywood ball and he'd be phenomenal. But other times, like I say, there's nothing wrong with holding the possession, but then there's having the ball and just playing like the easy pass when it's not a case of we're holding possession, we're strangling the team. No, you're just not doing anything with it, and it was kind of a bit of both between there. Black Chisel says, I work close to one of the top clubs in the UK, and they're the same when we don't use their logo in all the correct places. Oh, we know that too. We know that too. We work with a number of clubs, not even just in the UK. It's horrendous. The amount of brand guidelines and stuff that can be completely thrown out of the window on one thing, but then you have to hairline everything up on something else. But yeah, I know. Jeevan says, Scholes, Gerrard, or Lampard, who is the best player? See, I can't answer that question because I have a vested interest in one of those. I'm naturally going to say Paul Scholes. He's my favourite player of all time. So that's me. But other people can answer that.
I'm going to interject and say Frank Lampard.
Ooh.
I have adored Frank Lampard.
He also played for City, by the way, just saying.
No, literally, but back in the early 2000s, when he was playing at the likes of West Ham and then moving over to Chelsea, I had, on every single England shirt that I possessed, Frank Lampard on the back. And when he did eventually sign for City, fair enough. I think he was 36 when he signed for City.
It's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Yeah. See, do you know what? It's kind of a non-conversation for me. Because they're all class. How can you say who's better? Lampard scored more goals than most strikers from midfield. So if you're telling me that Lampard's the best, I'd go, yeah, okay, I can see why you're saying that. Gerrard is one of the most inspirational leaders and is won European trophies pretty much single-handedly by dragging a Liverpool team that should never have beaten an AC Milan team of that calibre. Okay, I can see where you're going with that one. Paul Scholes is just superior for both of them and in every single way. But yeah, I can see why you go with that one. Whatever. Bias. So yeah, no, it's one of those questions. And the thing for this question though is we always go on about fanboyism, Xbox versus PlayStation. This conversation is funny, watching people get absolutely piss-boiled because you prefer someone else. How can you like Lampard when Steven Gerrard is this and Paul Scholes is that? Lampard is not even a blah blah blah, and it's like, all right, sorry for having an opinion, you absolute weapon. Jog on. I mean, there's a reason you're having a conversation that's heated is because it's subjective. If one had more games played, and then in more games played had a better percentage of passing, but then someone went through and made a calibre of, okay, you didn't just play more, you played more influential games against bigger teams that won more trophies, and there's all sorts of things that when you start to throw all that in, it becomes subjective. So Paul Scholes, by the way, just saying. Anyway, let's move forward to the. I'm joking. I'm not that. But brand guidelines, nightmare flashbacks. I know that feeling. Jordan says, when I did an esports tournament at the Etihad, the brand guidelines was ridiculous. Yeah, I can understand. Some football clubs, not so much, but when you get to the top end of the Premiership, like Asim, for example. I mean, you don't have to answer. Feel free to just nod quietly without typing anything in. I imagine that working with Fulham when you back in your PES days, I imagine that would have probably. I mean, I don't know if you worked with any of the Championship teams, but that would have probably been easier than working with other harder than working with other Championship teams, but much easier than working with who's been licensed while you were there, Liverpool. United, Arsenal. I imagine working with Fulham would have been much easier than that. But then again, like I said, next level down. Silently nods. Exactly, that's it. And it's the size of the brand and it's not so much the size of the brand. It's kind of the ego that goes with the brand. The reason a brand's successful is because it's been managed. So brand guidelines help you manage a brand. We understand that. It's natural. But some people then just like take it to an extreme. I mean, I've worked with quite a few football clubs, and Asim did silently nod in agreement there. But okay, take any football club. Bearing in mind that these are the things that actually play the game. These are the things that football clubs give you the football that you see. They play the football. Now, take away the football clubs and just look at UEFA, a brand that doesn't even play the game, they just allow others to play the game for them. Now that is a brand guideline nightmare. But anyway, that's my opinion. That's from my experience. So there we go. Anyway, moving on. This final news story: Call of Duty World War II is free with PlayStation Plus from Tuesday. Written by Tom Ivan for VGC. A very simple one to finish on, but you know what? Some nice news for the week. If you're not a fan of Warzone, or if you are, but you want to play something a little bit different, and you don't want to buy the full Modern Warfare game, Call of Duty's World War II, which is obviously not last year before, is free and will be free on the rest of free on PS Plus, with the rest of June's PS Plus lineup to be revealed later this week. Call of Duty World War II will be free to download for PlayStation Plus members beginning on Tuesday. Sony announced on Monday that Sledgehammer's FPS will be one of June's PlayStation Plus titles, with the game being made free to download earlier than normal. May's PlayStation Plus games City Skyline and Farming Simulator 19 will remain free to download until June the 1st, when they'd normally be expected to be replaced. Sony said this month that PlayStation Plus subscribers now stand at 41.5 million, up from 38.8 million reported in January. The company also announced today that The Last of Us Part 2 is getting a dedicated State of Play live stream this Wednesday, including an extended gameplay reveal. We've already covered that, guys. Keep up. God. Featuring discounts on a range of PlayStation products at participating retailers while stocks last, Sony's annual Days of Play promotion is now live in Europe, Australia, and New Zealand ahead of its US and Canadian launch next month. Pow. So, if you want to play some Call of Duty World War II will be in the PS Plus games from June, but will be available a little bit earlier than normal, starting on the 26th of May, which is today. Is that third player who's been your favourite? Is that the third player who's been your favourite first? It was Ryan Giggs, then David Beckham and Apple. But Ryan Giggs was never my favourite player. Never. I liked Ryan Giggs, but yeah, Beckham was always ahead of Giggs. But yeah, in terms of overall career, Beckham was my favourite player as a youngster. But in terms of watching a player, and then not just being a kid that gets like distracted by fads, Beckham was like the big centrepiece player, whereas Paul Scholes was just the complete footballer for me, so that's where that comes from. But yeah, Giggs has never been my favourite player. He's a player I've loved forever, but not been favourite, so honestly. Vidic, class. Good suggestion. Enix says rumours that Spider-Man is also a part of Plus, which is making me feel like PS5 announcement very soon. Yeah, I did see that Spider-Man. We were going to include that. It was the standard edition, not the deluxe edition, was free on the PlayStation Store apparently, but I did have a look and it wasn't for me, so we just dropped it just in case. We'll report on it when we get a bit more solid stuff there. Enix says, my favourite United player has always been Park Ji-sung. What a player. I mean, no football talent whatsoever, could just run for days, but what a player. No, I'm only joking. That's pretty much what we were kind of told to believe by the media. But yeah, Park Ji-sung was class. Just downloaded World War II. We'll take the credit for that, whether we influenced that decision or not. We'll take all the credit for that. My camera is having an absolute mare today. Look at my face. I mean, absolute washed out, but then, like, a change slightly. Like, look at it, struggling. I've tinkered with my lights and everything. I've got up and closed my blinds. It's just not having it today, but, yeah. You did? Yes. There we go. Anyway, so, final thing. Obviously, we'll say it again, just in case anyone missed it. Call of Duty World War II is free. Right now, completely free, so go grab it. Play through the storyline if you want something to do, and then just jump back in Warzone for your multiplayer. Job's a good one. It's not a bad game, to be fair. I gave up on it kind of early on, but it's decent. It's not as good as Warzone for me, but you get the story with it. So jump in, fill your boots. Anyway, I think we are done for the day. Isn't that right, Bib?
For the scoop, yes. Are you still going to be going live straight after this?
Yeah. I'm going to jump on with some PUBG, which is why I'm wearing the hat. But I think the hat and the dark clothing is probably what's kicking my camera's ass, because it's like, too dark, too light, too dark, too light. But yes, we are going to finish the stream. Ranked mode is out. That's true. That's in the latest console update. It's out on PC. It's been out on PC for a little bit already. But yeah, it's just been added to console in the update, which I will need to download before we go online. So I won't be instantly into the game, but we'll wrap up the scoop and I'll jump straight back on after that. So yeah. Anyway, if you want to watch some PUBG, feel free to stick around the channel, because we're going to stop the broadcast and we're going to jump back on again and play some more PUBG. Bibbs isn't joining us today. He got his chicken last night and he's out. That's it. I said last night. It was this morning. So Bibb got a chicken dinner early hours of this morning, and that's it. He's done for the day. He's ditched us. So it's just me and you, Jordan, the gruesome twosome. So we'll get involved. But before we do that, before we jump into some PUBG, before we drop off and drop back on, is there anything you'd like to add, Bibb?
Yeah, what's Minecraft Dungeons? Because for some reason it looks like a game that I would actually really like to play.
Mince Raft. The reason I say that is
it looks like Diablo. Why am I getting Diablo vibes from a Minecraft game?
I don't know.
Jordan, are you in the chat?
He is. Got it on Games Pass. It's Diablo Minecraft. There you go.
Oh my god! Oh, is this on PC? Is this on PC Games Pass? Because if it is, guess what I'm downloading when I go shopping?
Oh dear.
That's so sick.
Do you know? I've never actually seen it, to be fair. I've seen everyone talking about it. And the reason I said Mince Raft is friend of ours, Mr. Arix on YouTube, tweeted earlier on, says whenever he types Minecraft, he always types Mince Raft. So there you go, Diablo Mince Raft. That's what it's always called.
Oh my god, yeah, I see what he means. I've just done the same. Minecraft Dungeons, Windows 10 included with Games Pass. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Eurogamer, Minecraft Dungeons review. A Diablo-like that's just deep enough.
Oh my god. Yep, that's downloading as we speak.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
If you want to see some Mince Raft Dungeons, then feel free to check out Bibby's future streams on Ice Cream Uploads by hitting the follow button now. I mean, you can hear how excited he is at the prospect of just downloading it. Imagine what it's going to be like when he's playing it.
Oh my god, this is so exciting. But yeah, that isn't actually what I was going to say. What I was meant to say was, as we always finish the show, if you do see any video game news that are knocking around the social media platform of your choice, then do feel free to get in contact with us. You can do that by two ways. Atting us on Twitter, we've got with Beanio, at Graham_Day, and of course, at Ice Cream Uploads. Or, alternatively, if you are in our Discord, you feel free to go over to the category that says Ice Cream News. Drop the news article along with your thoughts and impressions, and we'll include it in the very next show, which will be at what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day?
10 a.m.
Ish.
So yeah, we are going to disappear. My camera just fucking lost focus now. God damn it. I did move it yesterday. I might move it back to the green screen sort of position, see if that helps. But anyway, we are going to disappear. I will drop off. We'll end the stream. I will jump back on again. Bibbs is going to go foraging in like the true hunter-gatherer that he is. But until then, if you have the emotes, feel free to spam it in the chat, as NXPVB has just done. We will be back on imminently with some PUBG, back at 10 a.m. tomorrow if you're not around for the PUBG. Have yourselves a lovely day, and as the emotes say, stay frosty.
Stay frosty!